The summer is a wonderful time. The weather gets warmer, there's no school for a lot of people, and we all get to shout at video games. Although there are other announcements sprinkled throughout the year nowadays, the entire industry's been focused on showing games in the summer for 2 decades, and it's been specifically during E3. Now, I could talk about the history of the Electronic Entertainment Expo as a whole for 10 minutes, or bully Nintendo for 25, but that's boring, and I don't want to do that because it's been done 90 million times, and I know that you wouldn't want to watch that because you don't care about the history of a 90s trade show. So let's talk about God of War! E3 is so massive and important to this industry that it's become pretty stressful for a lot of developers. The majority of AAA games are announced at E3, where big studios are competing to make the trailer that will get the most extreme reaction on social media. A lot of demos are made to do just that. Excite people, but unfortunately, it's not as simple as just recording a 5-minute slice of your game and showing it to the world. God of War had been in development for a few years, and it eventually came time to announce the game. E3 was almost a year away, so Cory Barlog, the game's director, settled on announcing the reboot with an extravagant demo rather than a simple logo. Obviously, he's learned from that mistake. The demo would be played live in front of thousands of people and had the ever-present risk of the game crashing. And then, just for a little giggle, a little laugh, in his pitch to Sony, Barlog said that there would be an orchestra playing the game's music live too. Fuck. That was in addition to the stress Sony Santa Monica was already experiencing when God of War's E3 2016 demo had to be created while their lighting engine was still less than 50% complete and the art direction itself was mostly undecided. Months of the game's development were consumed by pushing to get a solid demo ready for E3, and of course that worried a lot of the team because, I'll say it again, they had been working for months on just a 10-minute demo of what became an almost 20-hour-long game. And then, in the next 2 years, they pulled off a miracle and released God of War. It was an okay game, I suppose. In a worst case scenario, there's Halo 2. The story of Halo 2's development is infamous because it was hell. Many of the elements from Combat Evolved were cut and then repurposed for Halo 2, but the project became far too ambitious, if that wasn't obvious enough from the now iconic cliffhanger ending. Bungie's vision for Halo 2 was a bit much. They wanted the final product to look exactly like the initial announcement trailer from 2002. It had real-time reflections and tons of sharp shadows. I mean, the lighting here looks like a 360 game, and it quickly became apparent that the game could not ship like this.
What you good people are about to see is an operation in progress. This is a real-time feed. No smoke and mirrors pre-recorded bullshit.
Halo 2's 2003 demo was exactly that. It was certainly impressive, but it was also almost entirely scripted, and a lot of the assets designed for the demo ended up being axed from the final product because the game simply could not run on the Xbox. Bungie left E3 feeling nothing but regret and fear. They had been slaving away to make a tech demo rather than a groundbreaking video game. But somehow, in a year and a half after remaking and cutting massive chunks of content, Bungie succeeded in making a fantastic sequel to Halo. Hopefully development hasn't been as intense as that for 343 making Halo Infinite. The pressure's lowering a bit now though, because quite frankly E3's dying. Big media outlets like IGN don't have as large of a presence at E3 anymore because press conferences are always live streamed so they can be reported on from anywhere. Even big studios are ditching the yearly press conference itself for smaller events. Sony hasn't been to E3 since 2018. Nintendo haven't been doing the traditional press conferences for nearly 10 years now, and everyone's copying their format. A lot of developers are now doing online streams in a similar style to the Nintendo Direct. Fortunately, that's not really a bad thing because it's still an exciting format. However, there's one specific aspect to these presentations that only Nintendo have mastered.
Speaking of, before we end this Direct, I actually have one more thing to show you.
People might say that saving the best thing for last is formulaic, and the excitement and reveal is dampened because you know they're going to show Metroid Prime 4 last. But I'd argue that doing a presentation like this will often make you think, are they going to finally do it? Are they going to do it? Which at least for me is worth it. So, can I quickly talk about Nintendo's E3 from 2019, because what the hell? They thought that the full reveal of Animal Crossing wasn't enough. They then briefly showed a game that's never coming out, then revealed Banjo-Kazooie for Smash Bros. Still thought, no, that's not enough, and revealed the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. What? Breath of the Wild is one of my favourite games of all time, and nobody saw a direct sequel to it coming. I don't tend to shout if I see something exciting, but when I saw that torch appear, I was so hyped. I'm not entirely sure what it is about watching what are basically advertisements that's entertaining, but it kind of just is. A part of it is definitely anticipation. The thought that a new entry in a franchise could be announced at E3 or whatever is pretty exciting. But if something's already been announced, the wait for more info is excruciating. I'm at a point now where I don't even care about completely new stuff because I'm hyped for a ton of previously revealed games. The Breath of the Wild and God of War sequels, Halo Infinite, and Elden Ring. From Software usually has a pretty quick turnaround on games. Dark Souls 2, Bloodborne, and Dark Souls 3 all released in just over 2 years. Sekiro was first revealed at the end of 2017 and then released in March of 2019. Elden Ring was revealed at E3 2019, and we know literally nothing about the game, and it's been 2 years. The only info that we actually have that's official was a CG trailer and some interviews which gave very little away. Due to the disparity between the release schedules, there are these madmen on the Elden Ring subreddit that believe the game has been cancelled. The majority of people do say it ironically, but there are a shocking number of people who are genuinely worried that the game is never coming out. It's insane. One of my favourite things to have come out of waiting for Elden Ring is the daily news update by someone called Mordecai. It's not a novel concept, this guy's been doing about Half-Life 3 for nearly 4 years now, but the daily Elden Ring update has been something else. When you see a video longer than 20 seconds, you know you're in for a treat. I even made a parody of one of his videos, because I release a video about as frequently as we get Elden Ring news. During April, he got some prominent members of the Souls community to do a daily update, as well as Jacqueline Boatswain, a voice actor who worked on Bloodborne. The Elden Ring community genuinely fascinates me. They've had dozens of absurd articles written about them. There is a history of wars, they've made fake lore for the game, and they've even bullied 2 different jets. Just a quick question, are you applying the transparency from 1% of the original image or 1% of the most recent iteration? This subreddit is complete nonsense. It's so surreal and I love it. I'm just really excited about Elden Ring. Some would say too excited. Over the last few months, people have become a lot more cautious when getting hyped for a game, for some reason, I'm not sure why. I mean, I understand the concern, but some people are just taking the example of Cyberpunk 2077 and applying it to everything. Like, I don't care if you're not excited for something that I am, but don't try and manipulate someone else into changing their opinion on a damn video game. I don't want to talk about Cyberpunk that much because honestly, I don't care about the game. I've never been interested in the genre. It's a bit like Sonic 06, I suppose. Everyone knows it's bad, there's nothing new to say about it, and it's not fun to talk about it. It just really twists my melons when someone tries to warn someone else about being hyped for a game due to Cyberpunk. That game had an absurd amount of marketing, an unfortunate number of lies, and it was announced insanely early. It's not really comparable to anything else in the industry because the circumstances surrounding it were so unique. Although I do think the criticism of Cyberpunk being announced too early is a very good point. A lot of games nowadays are just simply announced too early. I don't think it's entirely fair to say that for every game right now though. The pandemic's obviously massively affected the whole industry and we don't know how it's affected release schedules. But if we look at something before the pandemic, why did Todd Howard announce Elder Scrolls 6 in 2018? I mean, it's not like it's some outrageous reveal. Of course they're going to make another Elder Scrolls game. It's the franchise with Skyrim in it, for God's sake. But a new Elder Scrolls isn't going to be released for years. Sometimes with indie developers, they're just excited to show what they've made and want to show it as early as possible. I know I joked about the game before, but Hollow Knight Silksong was absolutely announced too early. It was a grand reveal too. The game looked polished, and later in the year at Nintendo Treehouse, they showed a demo for the game, and it looked really solid. But ever since then, there's been a really slow trickle of information. I'm still overwhelmingly excited for it though. There's also the infamous tale of Cuphead. Cuphead had some problems with scope, but other than that, there was no need for Cuphead's animation technique to be as historically accurate as it was. I mean, I'm happy for them. I'm happy that there are still developers that are passionate about what they're making. That's really refreshing. But it's a bit insane, don't you think? At least to learn from the mistake when announcing the DLC, right? Right? The hype train can be completely derailed by someone, somewhere, spoiling a grand reveal. I mean, could you imagine the reaction to George R.R. Martin being part of a From Software game if it hadn't been leaked? Leaks are a strange thing. Almost all of them are fake, and you can tell because they're from 4chan. But sometimes, and only sometimes, they're real. To be fair, we don't know if this Sonic Rangers leak is real yet, but it lines up very well with the very little we know about the game, and it would not surprise me in the slightest. An infamous fake leak that I remember from a few years ago was the Grinch leak. It was one of the most popular leaks in Super Smash Bros. History, partly because one of these renders of the Grinch had never been seen before, which gave it a smidgen of credibility. Basically, it showed characters like Ken and Banjo, both of which are in Smash now, on the Everyone Is Here poster, but it also had unlikely fighters like Shadow and Geno, who will probably never make it in the game. It was definitely an improbable leak, but I think there were some funny Grinch memes for like a week. Evidently I don't remember any of them though. At the same time as the Grinch leak, there was another leak going around which was far more modest. Basically it said that Ken and Incineroar were going to be the final two fighters to be added to Smash. That one was completely correct. Sometimes you even get companies leaking their own products. Sticking with Smash Bros, just a few days before Terry was announced, people spotted some text relating to SNK having a trademark in Smash. I know nothing about SNK or Fatal Fury, but some people were able to correctly guess that Terry was in Smash just from that. This video has really just been a random collection of my thoughts about video games, hasn't it? So reaction videos. By and large, reaction videos are not very good, especially when they're just stealing someone's content. But for video game trailers, watching reactions is sometimes fun. It kind of lets you relive the excitement you had the first time you saw a trailer. I know I've talked about it quite a bit, but I don't actually like Smash Bros. All that much. Even so, the Everyone Is Here announcement is one of my favourite trailers ever. It was such a big deal to see Ice Climbers, Wolf and Snake returning to Smash. Every Smash trailer is just so enjoyable because they're so wacky and they're not very conventional or formulaic. But they're made even better by over-the-top reactions. Maybe I just like the Vine sauce, guys.
Enjoy some unrelated music. Oh my god!
I don't know. Reaction stuff is just sometimes amusing. An unexpected trailer that I like quite a bit was the Mario Odyssey E3 trailer. Somehow they were able to keep the idea of capturing enemies under wraps for ages, and I'm so glad that they did. The Sonic Mania reveal was also pretty great. For the most part, the classic Sonic games are fantastic, and so are the mobile ports of 1, 2 and CD. I grew up playing the classic games through various collections, so when Christian Whitehead, the man behind the spectacular mobile ports, was revealed to be making a brand new classic Sonic game, I was elated. And thankfully, the game was actually good. That doesn't happen very often with this franchise. I also adore Breath of the Wild's release date trailer. I wasn't really a Zelda fan, and I didn't keep up with the series until I saw the trailer at the end of the 2017 Switch presentation, and it immediately sold me on the game. I don't even know how to describe it, I just love this trailer. Now, I know I talked about it for quite a bit of this video, but I'm really excited for Elden Ring. Beyond the fact that I just really like Dark Souls, the Elden Ring trailer is probably my favourite trailer for a video game. It has those weird From Software visuals that look incredible. It's cryptic, but it's not so vague that it's impossible to speculate on. And the music and voiceover are just so cool.
I doubt you could even imagine it.
I really, really like this trailer. I'm more excited for E3 and Summer Game Fest this year than usual. I imagine that's just because I've got some idea of what to expect. The last couple of years I've had some massive announcements, so now it's kinda just waiting for them to be re-revealed. So here are my bingo cards, I guess. I have no clue where playing bingo at E3 started, but it's just become a tradition. Note that I don't necessarily make bingo cards as predictions, I just make them as what-ifs or to make a little joke. I don't actually think Leon is going to be in Smash, but maybe. And hey, maybe Elden Ring will show up this year. Like that's ever going to happen. They had me at Big Dark Souls.